Hey everyone, and welcome back to our series on widgets in Apollo. In the previous video, we explored how to create a simple layout widget using the rows widget as an example. That was really great for demonstrating how to structure content, how to put widgets that just need simple markup added to the page, how to create those. But sometimes our widgets need more than just that simple markup. They also need JavaScript to power both functionality and interactivity. For those of you coming from the traditional ApostropheCMS development world, you'll notice some key differences in how we handle this interactivity. In a standard ApostropheCMS project, you typically use the players pattern. So these are JavaScript modules that are associated with each widget type that handle the initialization and update of the client-side interactivity. So these players are automatically managed by ApostropheCMS to run on page load and refresh. And importantly, they're also intelligently hydrated as soon as the widget is added to the page. In our hybrid Apollo setup, this functionality now lives in the Astro portion of our project. While we still pass specific data through data attributes, just like in a normal ApostropheCMS project, we need some additional techniques to achieve much of the same seamless experience that the player system provides out of the box. So in this video, we're going to look at how to add JavaScript functionality to our widgets using two different approaches, and each of these has their own strengths. So let's take a quick look at the widgets first in Apollo that utilize this, just so you know kind of what I'm talking about. Okay, so switching over to our project, we're going to create a new page to add our content to, just to keep things kind of neat. We could add the content directly here, but let's go ahead and add it directly to the page. So we're going to save and preview. So now we have our new page, no content, just the header and footer added by the Apollo theme. Hit edit. We now have our area that is available and visible for editing. Click on add content. I'm going to limit the size of the widget just to make it fit on the screen better. So instead of a full width widget, full width area, I'm going to make this a medium area. So go ahead and save that. Okay, so now we have this area that's constrained with some padding and margins to the side. So let's look first at the video widget. So go ahead and add content and select the video widget. Okay, so this comes up with a placeholder here. Go ahead and edit this. I already grabbed a shareable URL of the Blender demo, Buck Bunny. Go ahead and save that. And we can see it here on the page. So right now, it's not going to be interactable. It's not going to play when we click on it. And instead, we have to go ahead and preview. Now, once in the preview, when we click, we can see that video playing and our normal sort of YouTube interface that we normally get. Okay, let's go back into the edit mode and let's add one more widget. So we could either add to the outside content, but I want to add more to that same constrained row. So we're going to go ahead and add content here, and let's add a slideshow. This is going to take me a second to set up. Shorten up the duration time, and let's add slides. Okay, now you can see we have our slideshow on the page. We have our interaction dots down here, but you can see they don't do anything right now. Unlike the video widget, however, simply going into preview isn't going to be enough. This basically the slideshow, the interactivity portion of it isn't triggered as of yet simply by going to the preview. We need to actually reload the page to get that JavaScript loaded onto the page and to get it initialized. So this is one drawback that we know about in the current implementation of the apostrophe integration, that in the future we hope to have a workaround so that we no longer have to do this. But right now you have to reload the page. Once you reload the page, that slideshow is going to be active. It's going to be available for interaction, if I can hit the button, and it will remain active even when we go back into edit mode. Okay, let's jump back over to the code editor and take a look at basically how these work. So we'll start with the video widget. This video widget uses a web component approach. So if you're not familiar with web components, they're a set of standard browser APIs that allow you to create custom reusable HTML elements with encapsulated functionality. So looking in the backend quickly first, you can see that there really isn't a lot to it. So here in the modules folder, remember the video widget is a core module. That means that its module at project level is going to reside within this @CMS folder. And we can see right down here, here's the video widget. So you can see it's really very simple. And part of the reason why it's so simple is because it is improving the core module, which means that a lot of options and a lot of the fields and stuff like that are going to be added through the core module, and we're just improving them at the project level. So here we've got a label video, and then we've got a description and preview image. Both the description and preview image, of course, are going to be used in that expanding widget selection menu. So just jumping over into the browser real quick, let's look at that menu, and you can see the label, the description label here. The icon that's displayed in the standard drop-down widget selection menu is supplied by the core module. So not a lot going on in the back end. Okay, so now let's switch over to the front end to how we're implementing this widget on the Astro side, because that's sort of the interesting part, especially for this video. So opening the front end where our Astro code is up, opening the source, and opening the widgets folder, we can open up our, where are we? Video widget component. Remember that's mapped here. So since it's a core module or a core widget, we have to prefix with the @CMS/ before the video portion. And we're just mapping again to this video widget component that we create in Astro. Going to that component, skipping past the JS docs block in the front matter. Again, we're bringing in our widget data from Astro props, and we're doing a little bit of other things. We're creating a placeholder. So remember when we first opened that video widget, we saw just an image, a static image, until we edited it to share a URL from YouTube that had a thumbnail. So we're just setting sort of some baseline parameters there. And then if you look down into the, we have a style block. And then if you look down into the actual template here, you can see that we're using a custom HTML element called video widget. And we're passing in two different attributes, the video URL and the video title. So, and that's it. So, but this is where the magic happens, because you notice we didn't have to import this video widget component. It's not here in the imports. And that's because this is a custom HTML element. So let's look at how we created that. So closing this down, if we look in the Astro project, within the top level of the front end folder, we have a public folder. This is going to be available on all of our pages. And within the public folder, we have a scripts folder with our video widget code inside. So I'm not going to go through all the basics of making a custom web component, but basically we just have a constructor here. It's going to initialize and get some OEmbed data, an OEmbed URL. And the important part though is right here. So basically what we're doing is we're making a REST API query back to the @CMS OEmbed module. And that's going to have an API route called query. And we're passing that the URL search parameter. So that's going to be the YouTube or Vimeo or whatever service you have URL for the particular video. This works with any video service that has OEmbed capabilities. And then we have just some video rendering that allows for resizing and adding titles, things like that. So pretty simple. So the important thing here, other than the embed, is that we also have to think about when the component is being embedded. So basically the web component is handling the initialization, data fetching, and rendering. But we need to get this web component available to our front end to be used. So in a traditional Astro setup, we might import this directly in the component, directly in the .astro file through a script tag. But with ApostropheCMS, the dynamic editing in ApostropheCMS, we need to make sure that it's available as soon as the page loads. Otherwise, we're going to throw an error. If the page loads and we're using, again, that scrolling back to the actual widget itself code. If we use this video widget element before that script is loaded, that's going to throw an error because it's not going to know what that custom component is. So we need to make this available at all times whenever a page first loads before we add those widgets. So if we look, the way we're doing that in this case, and there's different ways that you can do this, but if we look in the pages .slug component, the routing component, what we can see is that what we can see here is that in our APOS layout, so remember, this is going to lay out the entirety of the page, and it's going to pass things into different slots like your page title and classes, as well as the entire layout of the page. But it's also it can also be used to change the head content. So in this case, within the standard head, so a head that's going to be loaded onto every single page, right here, we're loading in a script for our video widget. So that means that anytime you load a page, that custom HTML element is going to be available right away. So as soon as we add the widget, we're going to be able to see that rendered on the page. Okay, so that's how one way that we can use a web component to provide the client-side functionality and interactivity. Let's go ahead and look at our slideshow. So go back into widgets, scrolling down, let's look at the slideshow widget. So sometimes a web component might be overkill, or there's some limitations. You might prefer a more traditional JavaScript approach. And so that's what we're doing here with the slideshow widget. So again, we have our front matter that brings in some default, and it brings in the widget data from the Astro props. It sets a whole bunch of it utilizes the helpers that we've made that I talked about in an earlier set of videos, the helpers for dealing with attachment URLs and source sets to make our images dynamic. And we set some parameters. You saw that I was setting these when I utilized the widget. So scrolling down here, we have our layout after the front matter. That just is a pretty standard Astro component to map out our slides. And then down below that, after the style block, we have our script. So our script tag, and this is, I'm not going to go through this. This is just sort of a standard slideshow. There's a lot of different ways that you could construct this, but there's a couple of important bits here. I might have blown by it a little bit quickly, but if you look in the markup here, you can see that we have some. Here we go. We have some data attributes that we're providing. We have a data-slide data attribute and a data-active attribute. These are going to be used by the client-side JavaScript to know which slide we're on, which one's active, which ones should be hidden. So this basically is just the same way that we would deal with this in a normal ApostropheCMS project that wasn't using a separate front end. All right, so we have that's going on here. One thing that I should point out that I should have maybe pointed out earlier is that when you add JavaScript through an Astro component like this, it's going to be deduplicated. So even if we add 10 widgets, all of them, basically the JavaScript will be only added to the page once. That means that any JavaScript you write, unlike in a player, it needs to be able to handle multiple instances of that widget on the page. So very carefully, we have to do things like use query selector all. So we have to get all the slides, all the dots, things like that, and be able to associate these a particular set of slides with a particular JavaScript instance. So this is, again, most of this is going to be pretty straightforward as far as how we handle normal slideshow interactivity, things like data autoplay, starting the autoplay, stopping the autoplay, and cleaning up our instances. But the important part that I want to sort of look down into is right here, basically the initialization, how that init slideshow happens. Here we're handling a few ApostropheCMS specific scenarios. So we're looking at initializing the page load, just using init slideshow and sort of the normal flow of initializing JavaScript in Astro. But we're also listening for two ApostropheCMS specific events, refreshed and modal resolved. So the refreshed is going to be fired when switching between edit and preview modes. So once we have the JavaScript hydrated on the page through that page reload, now when we switch between edit and preview mode, we have to reinitialize the slideshow. We have to start it again. And we do that by listening for the refreshed signal to be emitted on the APOS bus. The other event we're looking at or listening for is the modal resolved. This is going to fire after closing the edit modal. So if we go to edit the slideshow on the page, we add a new slide, we remove a slide, we want to initialize that slideshow to handle the new set of slides or the new parameters that have been passed in. So that's what this particular refresh does. And again, we're just reinitializing the slideshow, looking for all of the slideshows on the page, clearing out the old instances, and then starting a new slideshow. So there's actually a third approach in Apollo that we don't really have time to cover in detail, but I want to mention it. The accordion widget uses a slightly different way of initializing and handling reinitialization, and it uses a MutationObserver to watch for changes in the DOM. This can be really useful when you want to handle deeply nested content or dynamic additions that might not trigger these standard refreshed and modal resolve events in ApostropheCMS. So that's just a third approach for doing this. So each approach has its pros and cons. We have the web components, which are great for encapsulation and complex widgets, but you have to know how to create web components, and there's some learning curve to that. There's traditional JavaScript with event listeners, so that's great for simple widgets when you need to interact with the ApostropheCMS editing experience. And then you also have mutation observers, which are useful for catching DOM changes that might be missed by other methods. In conclusion, there's a couple of powerful approaches for you to add interactivity to your widgets in Apollo. And so whether you prefer the encapsulation of web components or flexibility of traditional JavaScript, you can create a very rich interactive experience for your content editors while still giving the structured editing interface that provides a great user experience. In our next set of videos, we're going to move beyond widgets to explore pieces. So pieces are ApostropheCMS's system for managing collections of content like blog posts, team members, or products. So pieces can work together with widgets to create a complete content ecosystem. So it's going to give you both modular content blocks as well as structured data collections for your content editors to work with. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.